The SRL on the NFL. Previews, predictions, and analysis covering every storyline in football every week. The SRL on the NFL. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to SRL on the NFL, and it's Super Bowl week. Brendan Yerkes, Alex Faciaponte, here with you as always. We've made it through the entire NFL regular season. We made it through the entire NFL postseason, and it all comes down to this. Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl 59. Second time in 3 years they're in the big game. Me and Alex are here to go through all of it, and what a season it's been. What a fun time we've had doing this podcast, and it all comes down to this game right here.
I mean, yeah, what a crazy journey. This season has been nuts. It's been so fun to do this podcast, obviously keeping up with the league, keeping up with our picks. And yeah, it all comes down to this. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's this season's been really, really interesting for a lot of reasons. The Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl for the third straight year and the fifth time in 6 years, I believe. So
Crazy.
Very impressive there. The Eagles, second time in 3 years, like we just said, they're playing the Chiefs again, where they lost by a field goal late in the game on a holding call that they didn't like very much. But they're doing it again. Same uniform matchup and everything. This time it is from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Where was that one 2 years ago? Was that Houston, I think it was?
Something like that. It might have been Houston.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exact. No, Arizona. It was in Arizona.
Oh, Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely right. Yeah. So here we are. We're gonna go over a little bit of the storylines for the game. Then we're gonna go into some fun little betting props, courtesy of Alex. He's the master of that. So we have some fun ones that are not game related, and then he has some that are game related. So we'll go through those. Alex will take the front there, and then we're gonna make our predictions for the game itself. So we'll get there in a little bit. Make sure to check us out on social media at srl.media on Instagram and TikTok. We got a bunch of videos and stuff on there. And check out this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts at SRL Media on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. All right, let's get right into it. Storylines. I think we got to start out with Saquon Barkley and just the run game in general for both teams, because Saquon is the X factor here. If he doesn't have a good game, the Chiefs, I think, are winning this game pretty easily. Now, that's not to say that the Eagles' pass game isn't really there, but I think their offense has gone through Saquon Barkley, and if they have him shut down, then there's no way the pass game is going to be able to open up and create anything.
It's really strange how like comparing these teams, like one from a few years ago to now, how much different they are. Like you look at the Eagles, and like they were a pass heavy team back then. Like they were getting AJ always down the field, always involved. And Devontae Smith, again, getting them very involved. It's the Saquon show. It's so crazy how they just added him this year, and he's already the forefront of the offense. And it's not even close. It's really not.
And that's why they signed him. Has to be. I mean, they signed him because their run game needed some help. They've had a lot of solid running backs. Nobody really bad. You have to have decent running backs.
Impressive, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get an all, elite level running back like Saquon Barkley. Changes everything, and it really has for them this year. And they've been dominant all the way through, and that's shown. I've been saying I think they're the best team in the NFL throughout the season. They've had some tough losses, but overall, that body of work has shown. And the playoff games that they've played, Saquon Barkley has taken the forefront again in every round. First play against the Commanders, he goes for a long touchdown. Second, the divisional round, 2 touchdowns, long touchdowns.
Right.
And this is what he does. And if the Chiefs could be the first team to stop him, because seemingly nobody all year has stopped them, then that's it.
I mean, like you say, I really do think it's going to come down to Saquon. He's been a man amongst boys, it feels like throughout this entire year. If he's not able to get the run game going, though, that's going to be a lot of problems for Philly. Because, yeah, they have more than capable pass catchers, but they really haven't been able to get him involved as much as they probably should. Because you have the threat of Saquon. You would think the threat of Saquon would also open things up for them. It really hasn't. It's really just been like
Right.
Saquon's.
That's why I'm confused, honestly.
Yeah,
Because you
that's the
have
problem.
AJ Brown, like you said, was the focal point 2 years ago, and
Definitely.
he still is that same threat. Nothing has changed, but they just don't get him the ball as often. But when they do, it's usually a big play.
Yeah.
So it's intriguing to see how they're going to do that. On the flip side, I think the Chiefs' running game has to get going too. They haven't really had much this playoff with the run game, and their pass game has kind of taken the forefront. But they've kind of done it just in every way, like kind of chipping away at it
Right.
at offensively. So they need to get that run game going because that really opens things up for them, and that makes them that the best version of themselves and extremely dangerous. Especially to Kelsey, I feel like when there's a run game, you can kind of get him in that like middle of the field area in the slot, and kind of just get him the ball and get him going.
Yeah. To me, it comes down to Pacheco because obviously Pacheco has not been right this entire year. He's when healthy, he's the best runner on this team, but he hasn't been alright all year. He's been injured, and he's come back from injury, which again was a tough one, but he just hasn't looked the same. He doesn't have that same burst yet, and I think it's because he probably should have even sat a little bit longer, and he just I don't know. Maybe it's also some players say when they come back from injury, you also need kind of like the confidence of like, oh, I'm not going to re-injure it again. Maybe
Right.
he's playing a little bit scared in that regard. I don't know, but he's just not himself. And when Pacheco is at his best, the Chiefs are virtually impossible to stop.
See, I don't know if you're saying they brought him back early. It doesn't make sense because Kareem Hunt was balling out at that point.
He
Because
was
Hunt can make an impact too.
balling out, but like I don't know. It's more of like on the touchdown front. Like yeah, like he'd get like a couple like big yard games, but like it was more reliant on the touchdowns. Again, Kareem Hunt is a solid, serviceable back. He's just not. He's not the speed like Pacheco is.
Yeah,
Like
Pacheco's speed is crazy. But
without.
speaking of speed, Xavier Worthy is going to be another big X factor for them as well because they can do a lot with him. They could use him in the run in different ways and also use him in the pass game, short pass game, long pass game. He's going to be all over the field. I would expect him to make a huge impact tonight. On Sunday.
Yeah, I mean they've been getting him the ball a lot, which has been really important. I also find it strange how little D Hop has been utilized.
I
Like,
agree.
especially during the playoffs, you would think, oh, well, he's a veteran, he's been there, done that. Let's get him the ball. I think I have a weird feeling that I think they're gonna strangely get D Hop involved this game.
See, I agree with that because honestly, he's a different dynamic and a different type of wide receiver than they usually have. They've been known smaller wide receivers, speedier wide receivers. Look at what they have. Like,
Right.
Juju Smith Schuster's been there now. He was there last year. Same kind of deal, like a security blanket, good in the slot. Like I know he's taken a lot of heat over his career, but he's been very solid for them,
Yeah.
especially. And then Worthy's smaller, quicker guy. Where D-Hop's that bigger built wide receiver that can go and get you a 50-50 ball, a
Yeah.
big play on the sideline, get the catch, full yardage, not a catch and run, but go and get that ball when Mahomes can place it in a tight area. And they haven't used it, like you said. They have
Yeah.
Kelsey for that, and they have Noah Gray. Like they use their tight ends really well, but not having that wide receiver threat. And I think now, if you could kind of out of nowhere bring out D-Hop in different packages and formations, that could be a dangerous play, especially when close to the end zone to kind of punch the ball in.
Right. Yeah, I think that could be maybe like a secret weapon type of thing because they really haven't utilized him as much as I think that they should.
Because we said it for the AFC Championship with the Bills and Amari Cooper that we were expecting them to bring him out, and they did actually, like a little
Yeah.
bit more than they had. I mean, not a lot, but more
Right.
than that. And he's the same type of thing. He's a bigger built wide receiver, where the Bills for the last few years had those shorter, smaller, quicker receivers,
Right.
and you saw him make a lot of big plays. And now maybe they're going to kind of steal that from them and bring out D Hop because he's looking for his first ring in
Yeah.
his career. He
I'm
would
sure he's
deserve it.
motivated. Yeah.
One of those guys who's been through a lot. So, anything else we want to talk about offensively, we think here?
In terms of offense,
I think both the lines are really good. That's nothing
yeah,
really too much there. I think they're both solid. If anybody could break through, then that would be big. But I think it's also a testament to both defenses. Two great D lines as well. Secondaries are really good.
yeah,
Chiefs more experienced secondary, so maybe that becomes a factor.
good,
The Eagles very young, two young corners, rookie corners. done a great job this year, but on the biggest stage, we'll see if they can get their vets to kind of attack that. But I don't. It's hard to find some weaknesses on these defenses, because I think they have been the focal point of these teams all year. I mean, we talk about Saquon, but the defenses have been completely consistent all year and gotten these teams to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to say, but it feels like now both of these teams have kind of shifted to more defensive identities. Like they used to, like a few years ago, we'd say again, like high powered offenses. And now, I mean, yeah, they still have their flashy moments in terms of offense, but it feels like, wow, these are like they're more like defensive teams now, which is just weird. So it's hopefully we see something different this time around. It was still a great game last time, but I think we're going to see something different.
Yes, and the quarterbacks, obviously the storyline, Mahomes and Hurts going at it again.
Yeah,
Hurts, I think we need to see more from, but that includes like if Saquon's doing his thing, they haven't really made him do anything crazy, but we haven't really seen him make a lot of big plays with his arm. So we'll see if he gets put in that situation. If they go down, they have to kind of come back and throw the ball around. It'll fall on Hurts, which I think might be tough to not have to do that all year and do it in that game. But
right.
Mahomes knows what to do to win. He's been there before. So we know really what to expect from him. And we saw it last week. He had a really big game after we said, all year, the Chiefs 15-2, but how, that we said that there were their struggles and they didn't look right. And he didn't even look right. And he had a down year for his standards. But last week, I think we saw it. With the plays he made, smart decisions, escaping, stuff like that. So I'm the quarterback matchup. Obviously, we got to give the edge to Mahomes.
Right.
But I think, because that's what I think it is. I think if it comes down to something where somebody's going to make a mistake, I don't trust Jalen Hurts nearly as much.
Of course. Yeah. I will say, though, because I think a lot of people don't recognize this enough. I think the last Super Bowl that they both played in together, I think that may have been Jalen Hurts' best game as a pro. Like, he was money that
He was
game.
really good that game.
He was really good that game. It's terrible that he came out on the losing side of it, but he was really good that game. He really did show up. Now, again, that to me was probably his best shining moment in terms of being a pro, even though they lost. But he needs to somehow replicate that and do more, which is crazy to say because, again, that was a really good game by him.
Well,
But
look, but he hasn't done it all year. Like, he's kind
he
of been a
hasn't.
passenger.
He hasn't. He's been kind of more
Passenger's a
of a
little
game manager.
mean, but you know what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say.
a
Like,
manager, a
he
game manager.
hasn't elevated the team. Yeah, manager.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, he's a good leader and everything. But for them to win, while Saquon needs to ball out, he also needs to elevate his game as well if they
He needs
want
to
to win.
take care of the football
Yeah,
because he's been good with that. Not to say he hasn't, but there's
right.
been times where if Jalen Hurts can fumble the ball that we've
That could be
seen, and that could really hurt the team. Like that could one or two, and that could be enough.
right.
Because think about it, the Eagles have been done really well in the turnover battle these playoffs. The Commanders had what 5, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's insane.
Like that helps. I mean, they killed the Commanders,
Right,
but you've been very fortunate. So if they end up losing the turnover battle, you have to be curious to see how they would react because the same thing happened. The Chiefs, I think they lost the turnover battle too against the Bills, and they still won.
right.
So if the Eagles could pounce on the turnovers from the Chiefs, huge. But if the Eagles
True.
turn the ball over, who knows what's going to happen because we haven't seen
Yeah.
that.
No, it's gonna be really interesting. Again, like it's a very tight game. It's a very tight game.
Right.
This could really go either way.
And I know people don't love the matchup just because the Chiefs, everyone's seen the Chiefs, kind of sick of the Chiefs, right? And the
Yeah,
Eagles, I know, are not really a fan favorite just because Philadelphia, stuff like that. But
yeah.
in terms from a pure football standpoint, take away the team name, city, like this is probably the best matchup you could have gotten, honestly. Like from a
It's one
football
of the better
standpoint, I mean, yeah,
matchups.
you could like obviously plug in like a team maybe like Detroit if you think that they should be there. There's a lot of good teams too. The AFC, like you could plug in Buffalo, you could plug in the Ravens, but
Yeah,
I guess I'm contradicting myself. But I think these two teams consistently were each the best in their conference. I know the Eagles were 2 and the Chiefs were 1, so they literally were. But I think just
right.
from like, teams and performance, like these are the best two teams. And as frustrating as it is for people that it's the same matchup, these are the best two teams, and it's going to be another amazing football game because it was the first time they played each other.
Yeah,
And it should be again. There's no reason for it not to be.
I agree. I think it's going to be really intense. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter execution. I really do
Right.
think
And
so.
there's no gaping holes, but I like every team. Like remember, like the Chiefs made it to against the Bucks, and there was the offensive line thing, and that ended up being a blowout. Like
Right.
and everyone kind of gives Mahomes crap for that, but it's like he's running around like with
Running for his
no
life.
line, and
Yeah.
in like Joe Burrow too, like in that Super Bowl, like same thing, back to back years.
Yeah,
So that kind of like exposed them and created like a difference. Like these teams are just so even at every position that it creates for great matchups and great football.
definitely.
I know the storyline also the refs and people are gonna put emphasis on that. I don't think it's gonna be a factor. I don't think it has been as big of a factor as everybody's saying it has been for the last few years. Like there's some questionable ones. Like the hold, like I get it because the 2 years ago the hold on James Bradbury, it's like, was it weak? Yes, but was it a hold? Also yes.
Yeah,
So
it was a
it's
whole.
kind of like you got to weigh the scales here in the Super Bowl. Like it's a big moment. Like you don't want to not call it, but it's tough.
It's a tough
It's a
call.
tough situation. I'm not trying to defend like the officiating here because they definitely have had their fair share of mistakes,
Most
but
definitely.
it's challenging. So
Uh,
I'm curious to see what happens in this game, but I think there's no agenda going in. It's going to be a pure football game.
I always find it funny because like Twitter would be like, oh well, who are the refs? Which side are the refs gonna pick this game? Because both the Eagles and the Chiefs are considered to always get the ref calls. So
Right. That's
I,
what I'm saying.
it's the ref bowl, I guess. So enjoy everyone. See
Yeah,
who.
and there's always been some controversial stuff. I mean, maybe it's been worse in recent years. But I feel like every Super Bowl, it's just, I mean, it's the championship. It's so hard to get there
Yeah.
that everything is scrutinized. Everybody's watching. It's the most watched thing like in America. So
Right.
it's just how it is. So I'm excited for this game. Should be a good game. But then again, maybe next year we can have some new teams just to mix it up because
Would be nice.
it is getting very repetitive. But
Yeah.
who am I to complain? There's a lot of other bigger things to worry about. All right, let's get into your betting. Let's roll through these. Throw through these quick here. We'll go some like quick fire stuff.
All right. So to start things out, again, we're gonna start things out. We're gonna start it out with stuff that doesn't really have to do with the game at all. So coin toss, heads or tails?
Heads or tails? Ooh. Do we
Heads or
have any stats on recent years?
I mean, like how heads and tails is, it's relatively 50-50.
Okay.
Tough choice, I know.
Well, the Chiefs are the away team. I want to know what they picked the last few times they've had the choice.
I don't know. You'd have to look that up. I don't know.
All
I'm
right.
not sure.
I don't want to waste too much time. I'm gonna go tails here.
I'm also going tails here. I just feel like tails never fails.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I don't know. I'm usually like a heads guy, but I don't know.
I'm
I feel
feeling
like the
tails.
Chiefs usually pick tails. I just got that vibe.
Okay. All
They're
right.
just different.
National anthem length, 1 minute 20 seconds, over under.
Well, who's singing it?
Let's look it
That's
up.
relevant information before this bet.
All right, hold on. I'll look it up.
Let me look up the Chiefs here.
Let's see. Okay. It's John Batiste. He's a Grammy-winning singer and songwriter from Louisiana.
Okay. What kind of music?
Let's see. John.
Because I'm trying to think here. Because 2 years ago, this matchup, it was Chris Stapleton,
Mm.
and I was like, I am hammering the over on that
All right,
because he's very slow.
so Baptiste here, he's like classical jazz, R&B, pop, that type of deal.
All right, I am taking the over on this.
I feel like the over is always free on this. Like I think it's very safe.
They definitely know.
Undercut.
They're definitely thinking about it. Whoever's singing it.
It's a quality line. I think this is a quality line. I'm gonna go with the over though as well.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's see the next one. All right, so Kendrick Lamar is going to be the halftime performer. 10.5 songs, under or over?
Ooh. I'm gonna go under. I think 10.5 is a lot.
I'm actually going over on this. Kendrick has so many classic songs, and I don't know. I think he has so many songs that he may do just like a minute of or like 30 seconds of, and then switch to something else. I
I get that.
I think we're gonna smash that.
I feel like 10.5 is a lot, and I think there's a lot of people that I'm noticing that don't know who Kendrick Lamar is really. So
Yeah,
maybe they've like heard some of his stuff. So I think maybe he would do a little bit longer segments of the bigger songs. So I think most people can kind of
to
get
counter
it,
that
get
though, if they
involved
don't
with that.
know him, wouldn't he want to do shorter versions of more songs to try to?
Right, that's true.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a good line,
We'll
but I'm
see.
going over. I'm going over. Um. All right. So, color of the Gatorade bath. We got
I knew this was gonna
purple,
be here.
yellow, green, orange, blue, or red.
I saw a lot of stuff that blue was involved. I'm gonna go with blue.
Okay.
I think I've been hearing that's what my sources have been telling me,
You
which
have
is
some
the internet.
sources on the Gatorade
But
bath. Wow.
um, I'm gonna go
Um.
with blue. I think I just got that vibe. Let's look for the last few years.
I honestly, I have no rhyme or reason to this. I'm feeling orange. Feeling some orange action. Couldn't tell you
Yeah.
why.
So
Feeling
looking at it, it was orange to the Chiefs the first time they won with Mahomes.
okay.
This looks like last year. Looks like maybe that's a purple.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the other one.
I'm feeling orange. I'm feeling orange. They're gonna run it back. I
It
feel
was
gold.
purple when they beat the Eagles the first time.
Whew.
So
That's crazy.
so now yeah, back to back orange. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the blue one. We're gonna just go
Switch it
three
up.
different colors.
Interesting. All right. Um, and then this is kind of a wild one. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift after the
Oh,
game? Yes or no?
what are we doing?
What do you mean? What are we doing?
No, that will not happen.
I don't see it happening either. But like, imagine the Twitter would break. I think if he did that.
I think World War III might start on
Yeah,
Twitter if that
honestly,
happens.
yes. Yeah, that's why I had to include it. I mean, for the shock value alone. Like
Yeah, people are
that would
tuning
be
into the SRL and the NFL now because we mentioned Taylor Swift.
I know, right? But I, I I had to include it. It was too eye opening not to.
All right, now it's a perfect transition into football, which is what we want to hear.
Exactly. Now to the real important stuff.
Okay,
We're gonna first start off with quarterback yards. So we have Mahomes at 250.5 yards, passing yards.
I'm gonna take the over. I think the run game, like we said, slow for the Chiefs. I mean, even if it's better, it's a Super Bowl. There's always, I feel like, a lot of passing yards. He usually has a lot of passing yards in these games, so I'm gonna take the over.
Yeah, I feel like this is an easy over for me as well. I think he's honestly gonna get probably well into the 300s.
I
That's
agree.
just how he is. All right, sorry, Hurts passing yards, 211.5.
I think I'm gonna go with the over again too. I think Super Bowls. I know that the run game is so big for them, but it just the offenses. Even though we talk about how good the defenses are, Super Bowls are for the most part they're high scoring, regardless of how good the defenses are.
Yeah,
Even if there is one elite defense, even if they don't score, maybe field goals too. Like they're gonna get the ball down the field, and I think over the course of an entire game, getting more than 211 is possible. Not a lot more. I think it's gonna be close to that line. So I think that is a good line, but. I think he's just going to get it, even with Saquon getting the ball a lot.
I'm actually going the under here. I think Hurts again like hasn't been the same type of like high volume passer as he used to be earlier on in his career, and that reliance on Saquon I just think is too much. So I'm going to be going with the under.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to get it around. What else we got?
Uh, will Saquon score a touchdown?
Yes,
Easy smash, easy.
I'm easy. Yeah. The
Yeah,
only caveat to that is if they get close and they just push it in with Jalen.
possible. Could
So
happen.
that could happen, but I just think the way their season's been, they're not going to get shut out like that. That he's going to have to score a touchdown at some point.
He will. I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think Saquon's easily scoring a touchdown. But now to Saquon's yards, 110.
Oof,
110.
that's a good line.
That's a lot of yards.
Yeah. But now I just said over for Hurts.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
Damn, that's really tough. That's tough.
It's a tough one.
Because I want to say over just based on how this year has gone, but I feel like they're gonna have to mix it up this game. So I'm gonna go under. Actually, I'm gonna go under,
Mhm. All
just
right.
under though. It's gonna be plus 100 yards. Like I think it's gonna be like in the
105 or something.
105 range. Yeah.
All right. I'm going the over here because I'm taking the under on Jalen's yards. I
Yeah,
think
I did the opposite of
he's gonna
you.
explode, and yeah, so I think he's gonna explode to give him a chance. I'll go
I
with the
think
over.
they need to pass more than they
Right.
have. They have to if they're gonna win.
All right. So then let's go to the Chiefs side of things. Kelsey, will he score a touchdown?
Yes, he will. I'm gonna take the yes on that. It's a
Okay.
Super Bowl. He's getting to that point. I think what is it? 3 more touchdowns in the playoffs ties the record for most
Oh, I didn't know that.
touchdowns. I
I didn't
think
know
by
that.
a receiver or tight end in the playoffs.
That's interesting. I
So
didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he always does when they're in the Super Bowl. I feel like he always has at least one. So I'm gonna think it happens again.
It's hard not to agree with you on that. I agree. I think he's always just a safe bet to get a touchdown every time he's in the Super
He'll
Bowl.
find himself open in the end zone at some point, and Mahomes will
Right.
find him.
What about his yards though? 60 yards.
That's another good one. I'm gonna take the over.
Okay.
I feel like he's his. This is gonna be his best game of the year, and
He's
I think
saving it now.
it usually is. It usually is, based on what history has shown us. Now I think it's gonna be in like the 70, 80 yard range.
Fair.
I think that's where I usually find him in the Super Bowl because he's gonna have one break off play. He's gonna get the ball and run for like 20, 30 yards, like up the middle, and then I
Yeah.
think the rest of it will just be like accumulated throughout the rest of the game.
Like
Pat likes to find him in these situations.
yeah. No, I mean that's fair. I don't know though. Like you look at his lines and you're like, oh, like that's an easy over for him. It was like
No, it was not an easy over for me.
it was for like 2-3 years ago. I'd be like, oh,
Oh,
that's
right. Now I'm saying for here, it's like I was very
here.
close to
I
under.
don't know. He's just. I mean, like he's still a very good player. Obviously, he's just not the same player. I think I'm gonna be
Right.
going with the under here. I
Yeah,
think
I can respect it.
I think like we mentioned earlier, I think that they're gonna try to get their receivers more involved, and I think D Hop, which is so random. I keep mentioning D Hop.
I agree.
I think they're gonna randomly involve him, and he's gonna have a solid point in this
I
game.
like that.
What about AJ Brown yards 70?
I'll take the over. I think just because they went with Hurts on the over, they need to get him. If they're throwing the ball, yes, Devontae Smith's good, but they're going for AJ Brown. So give me the over on that.
I'm going with the under here solely because again I took Hurts'
Right.
under, and AJ hasn't looked as good as of late. He really hasn't, which has been disappointing.
I think he's just
I mean,
waiting.
last
He's
game
ready
was
though.
good.
He's healthy. I think he's just like a spark waiting to happen.
I could see it, but I don't know. I think with the Hurts under, that's also what's influencing it for me. And the final line in terms of players, this is a tough one. Pacheco 25 yards.
25 yards.
25 yards.
That's low.
It's low, but look at Pacheco's recent games. Like we mentioned, he struggled. He hasn't been good.
Yeah. Whew. Because they've given the ball to Hunt a lot.
They have. He got like 70 yards last game, something like that.
I'm gonna go the over.
Okay. I'm
I think I just
actually
have to.
also going to go the over. I think this is going to be Pacheco's best game of the year. I think he's due for a good game. It's been a while, and they're probably going to feature him.
Got nothing to worry about. You got what? How many months off? 9 months off? 6 months off?
And
I can't do math. 6 months off.
but he just hasn't really looked the same, and his usage has obviously gone down because they've been
Right.
playing more in Hunt. I think maybe they're trying to save him for a game like this. I think he's gonna smash that over. Actually, I think that's a pretty free over. But yeah, those are all the random props and the player props.
I like it. Where were those from? Just so we could give a plug.
So those player props were from FanDuel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, FanDuel, for that. Not sponsored, but we have to, I guess, mention where our odds came from.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up the show. Predictions for the game. Score, winner, who's going to be lifting the Lombardi? Will it be a three-peat for the Chiefs? Will the Eagles get their second trophy in their franchise's history in the last 10 years, which is, also their second all-time? But good game. Based on my picks, I'm thinking offense here, even with good defenses all over, spread around. I'm going to go with the Chiefs again to take them down. I like what the Eagles have done, but I just think when the Chiefs get in the situation, they have some sort of voodoo magic going on that's going to bring them the win. And it wouldn't shock me if the Eagles are going to win this game. But I have that feeling, like it's two good teams. They're both going to win. But I've just had this feeling since the championship games ended. Well, yes, the Eagles killed them, but I have this feeling that the Chiefs are going to win. It's been in my head. It's what I've been thinking about. I'm just like, the Chiefs are going to three-peat. And I've been feeling that, and I think it's going to happen. So I'm going with Kansas City here. My score, I think it's going to be offensive again. Not as offensive as the last time. I just looked it up. It was 38-35 the last time they played. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs 31 and the Eagles 26 in a still close game, but I think the Chiefs are going to be able to pull away by the end and not have it come down to that last field goal. But that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling the three-peat.
I'm also feeling the three-peat. It just feels like inevitable at this point. It would be really cool to see NFL history be made. And yeah, it just feels like the Chiefs are just built for these moments. And again, that's not to discredit the Eagles and what they've
Right, the Eagles could definitely win. I could see it. It's not.
They could easily win. It would not shock me at all. But yeah, Mahomes is built for these moments. He's that guy. He's ready for it and all that. I'm gonna be going with a score prediction of 30-24 Chiefs. I think it's gonna be 23-24 with like a few minutes left, and Mahomes is just gonna go on a touchdown game-winning drive down the field. Because why?
Yep, I could see it. Just picturing it in my brain.
Doing this as he's going down every first down.
No, so it should be a fun Super Bowl. So, Alex, enjoy the game. Everybody listening who has listened throughout the year, thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the game as well. It'll definitely be a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun. So that's it for SRL on the NFL for the 2024-25 NFL season. So enjoy the Super Bowl. Again, my name is Brennan Yerkes for Alex Vachapante. Make sure to check us out on our socials at SRL.media on Instagram and TikTok. Check out this podcast at SRL Media on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Once again, this was SRL on the NFL Super Bowl preview show. Thank you so much for tuning in.